Rolling.
And action.
So as I said before, throughout the series, Prairie has been trying to reach this place that needs the 5 people to help her complete the movements and send her to the alternate dimension and achieve miracles. The movement requires unity and understanding to be successful, and throughout the series it has been just the opposite. As they learn each of these movements one by one, step by step, each more difficult than the last. In the scene, however, the 6 of them managed to achieve that unity to distract the school shooter and send her away to that dimension. But in the process, she is shot, and the 5 others are left hurt, as well as those who've seen the show itself gain that emotional connection to it. The scene targets anyone who has felt left out or pushed away because of differences and are not living up to people's standards, because that's what brought each of these people together. Some shots have strong light shining in and trees in the background, and it all ties to nature and the natural animal and people and acceptance of that. Some movements have hissing and stomach stabbing motion, which also adds to that idea. It's told in third perspective. As I said before, in the moment, the characters achieve unity despite the differences, and through that they found friends outside of the life they lived prior to meeting Prairie, prior to truly realizing they weren't happy in the lives they were living. The scene itself was a plot twist, and no one was expecting the school shooter, nor were we expecting for Perry to get shot after completing the movements. Cinematography. So there are a lot of close-ups and medium close-ups in the scene, which really presses the idea that this is important and nothing else. And so the antagonist, which is the school shooter, was never fully in frame. Either half his face or his feet when he walked in was in frame. In the story, his only purpose was to ignite the movements, and it really showed. The main characters had full face close-ups and full body wide shots of the collection of them to show them moving as separate beings connected by this one cause. The light shining in to the setting as if to express an enlightenment, a greater understanding of the situation thus far. It's almost harmonic. There's a tree behind Steve at a specific point, which is really expressing that naturistic idea. Not only this, but Prairie wasn't even in the shots until the last 10 seconds, showing where she was there the whole time, but she wasn't the main focus until those last seconds, revealing her bullet wound and bringing everyone's attention to that. So these are some examples of the shots I was telling about, where the school shooter walks in and it's only showing his feet and his gun, and other shots where it's just the back of his head and the rest of the group moving in unison. And there's a very extreme close-up of his eyes where he's looking at the shots and he's kind of mesmerized. And I just really thought that was really important to the idea. And it was just a very quick kind of shot, but it was there. There's the other wide shots of all of them moving and medium close-ups of the 5 characters moving the same movements. And this last shot was, the gunshot, and I wasn't sure if it was a director's choice or it was just by coincidence, but I noticed that there were like 5 cracks in this gunshot, and it just really expressed the 5 different people moving with her in this one specific thing, as if like all this was supposed to happen, especially with the gunshot directly hitting her. Editing. So there are multiple cuts and shots, but the editing had smooth transitions and timing, seeming almost like matching action to really express the unity between the characters. Some shots are slow and others are fast because it's the climax and everything is coming into alignment with the true goal. Something I had noticed was the sound, which is the music behind the shot, the scene, I mean. And the background music in the scene was a song that Prairie used to play on her violin when she was younger, a song of both pain and hope. The strong emotion behind it as it builds up along with the tension in the scene. The use of the song and connection to Perry adds to how we interpret the scene. There's no dialogue, and the only language that we see is body language, allowing the viewers to see that the characters didn't need to get up and talk to each other to know what to do. They knew what they had to do next because it's all what they felt they had to do. So the director did a really good job telling the actors what to do and how to react, because as I watched, I really believed that they knew what they were doing and understood the power behind each step and each movement. The body language, the facial expressions, and the placement of the characters, it all coincided to make me really believe in them as protagonists and their performance. So there were two main symbols I really saw that was really obvious to me. And one of them was the gun, and it carried a lot of power, and it can take someone down in a second. The characters who have struggled with outside forces throughout the series come together in this moment to take down the man holding the gun and avoid being suppressed once again. And the dance they're doing, which is the other symbol, which is the 5 movements, can signify nature and animals learning to coexist but finding something beautiful in the process. The movements have been known to grant miracles and do harm, just as any other person, but it takes more than one person to do that to someone. It's a collection of people who can really impact someone's life the way they did here. It didn't allude to any other references or films that I know of, but it just really impacted my interpretation of life and death.
So, questions? Let's wait a second. Okay, no plot questions. Remember, if you're interested in, if you know something about the plot, you have to watch the show. Yeah, see, that's, I can tell. I can always tell it's a plot question after you ask. Natalie?
They were angels, right?
What?
No plot. That's technically a plot question.
No, because they doing,
No.
what kind of human does that?
Well, they're human beings who are actors who are doing that, so
I mean,
they obviously people do that, right? Somebody came, and a choreographer came up with that. So
We're talking about the show.
No, that's a hard question.
I would have thought they were power.
So the OA. All right. So cool show. It was great, really thorough presentation.
Very.
And you had a lot of thoughts about it, which is what I'm looking for. And again, part of what gets you like above a 90, above a 95 is again that personal connection to the story, which I thought you demonstrated beautifully here. I loved all of your, if you go back to all those screenshots you had, just the up arrow will get you there. I love that. There's also, you can also notice that those characters are all wearing similar colors, and they're made to look more similar. You see how muted the color is inside the cafeteria, as opposed to the green outside. So very intentional choice here to show that connection, that interconnectivity you were talking about. I thought that was really well choreographed. It almost feels like those movements, they're really centered around where she got shot. So it feels like there's a connection there too, which is almost like foreshadowing in a way. Yeah.
What's the significance of that?
Of the what? Well, like you said, there are these 5 movements that will allow her to be able to do miracles.
So what did that signify?
Watch it, you'll see. Watch it.
No. I'm talking through the director's perspective, not no plot.
You the director?
I don't know. I couldn't tell you. I didn't direct the show.
Like, what's that supposed to mean?
Well, watch the show and find out. All right. Any other questions?
I'm pretty sure.
Thank you. It's cut. Thank you so much.